hey, sorry to bother you, we're doing a QC check. You don't say quality control, you just say QC because you want them to ask, what's that? Oh, quality control. So if there's been a job going on, they can say, hey, we did so-and-so's job down the street. Did you get any debris blowing your yard? Oh, you didn't? Okay, perfect. We got 2 more jobs coming up right next to you. I want you to have my information. If for some reason some little wrappers blow in your yard, I know you're completely capable of picking it up. But I'll send my guys over here if you call me to come pick that up, because you shouldn't have to do that.
I think it's all mental. You could get yelled at 10 doors in a row, and that 11th door could be the good one. But if you take those old door knocks to it, it could ruin that whole, that whole experience. And then you just never know what people are going through, what you're walking into. Most of the time when you do a good job, and at the end of it all, people actually are really appreciative of what you did. You hear people that sometimes start off very aggressive, and at the end of it, thank you for knocking on my door today.
You are now tuned in to the best roofing podcast in the world. The Roof Trollz.
Here we go, yeah.
Roof Trollz. All right, Roof Trollz, let's go, baby. Here you go. All right, so we've got the special guest today. We have Tyler Stevens and we have Teddy Hoffman here. They are our first out-of-town guests, actually. So
let's go.
Kind of cool. Brought them in specifically from Texas. They paid their own way.
Out-of-town means like farther out, because we've had some Chicago guests on here, but yeah, they're like out of state, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, they paid their own way just to come here for us. I'm just kidding.
No, but specifically for that.
Yeah, we'll start here with Tyler. Tyler, tell us a little bit about yourself, your company, and let's go from there.
Yeah, so I own Complete Contractor Group. We're a 2-year-old company. As far as the birth of the company, we didn't actually start operating till about 1.5 years ago. And so we're growing rapidly. Obviously, from Texas, we're headquartered out of Frisco, Texas, and we're expanding out here to Illinois, and we're growing rapidly. And so, with that expansion, we're trying to, build big sales teams to help us scale even more.
Now, well, tell us a little bit about your background, too.
Oh,
What
yeah.
brought you into roofing. Tell us a little about the sports background. I think that's some pretty cool stuff, because both of you guys have that.
Yeah, so, me and Teddy actually grew up together. We grew up on the same street since we were little kids, 8 years old. Played baseball together. Teddy played with the Tigers. I played some college baseball. And, he was in the industry just selling commercial. And I was over here trying to recruit him. At that time, I was a sales manager for a company, helping them build and scale. And I was trying to recruit him. And he's like, you know what, man, if I don't like this thing, like, I don't want to burn any bridges with you. And I'm like, dude, who cares? Just come try it out. And got him, to finally pull the trigger and come on board. He came into the industry, and I have been in this industry since I was like 18 years old. And I learned, more about commercial before I learned residential as far as the install side. And then, after I was done playing baseball, I knew what I wanted to do. I was in college. I was knocking doors. And when I was in college, I think I sold like, $700K or $600K when I was in college. And, kind of half-assing it a little bit. And when I was done with baseball, I was like, I know exactly what I want to do. And then I had a family member that was in the industry, and he's like, man, I'm originally from Houston. So he's like, man, the Dallas market, like, there's hailstorms, 3-4 times a year. He's like, this is where you need to be. And, I pulled the trigger. I moved up to Dallas and worked for a couple companies, helped them out as far as building and scaling, was a sales guy at first, just knocking doors. And here we are today. 2 years ago, started our own thing, and now we're booming.
Now, did you guys start it together when you did your recruiting?
Yeah.
But did you guys started it together?
Yeah. We actually, I was building a sales team at another company, and I was doing a little bit of everything, right? I guess my title was a sales manager, but I was helping build out some systems and processes and doing production. And so I wasn't actually just a salesman.
Always, man. If you're good at your job, you get to do everybody else's.
Right. Right. And, so yeah, he came on board. He was new to the industry. I finally, recruited him, and I'm like, man, like, I could see the flaws where he was at. I was like, really, all you need is good people around you. Someone that'll actually show you, because I know once you learn this, he had a good business knowledge, and I was like, I know once you learn this, you're going to take off with it. And so that's essentially what got him over. And then, the company I was with before, great people. We just, our end goals were different. And I was like, all right, well, I know my end goal and I want to accomplish that. In order for me to do it, I'm going to have to make a transition. So yeah, that's what kind of got us here.
Yeah.
So for people listening, for context purposes, Texas is like the Mecca. That's and Dallas is known as a very tough spot to knock. I had the privilege only for a couple days when I went out there, but we knocked in Pflugerville, Texas. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that.
I used to live there.
Lived in
Actually,
Pflugerville.
I lived there at college.
We were at a corporate company before this, so they had an office actually in Pflugerville. So we worked out there, and then I worked in Austin for a couple days too. And I love Austin. Shout out to 6th Street. Let's go.
Yeah,
but yeah,
that's where he moved to Dallas from. Was from Austin. He was in Pflugerville, Austin. And,
Yep.
Oh, okay, no, yeah. It's a beautiful little area over there, though. It's weird that everybody I say Pflugerville, they're like, "What the hell?" It sounds like something from The Grinch, but like, no, it's a real place. Weird that you live there, but yeah. Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah.
I thought it was beautiful. That pink house out there, have you ever seen that?
I probably have.
Dude, everything's pink. Gutters, roof, siding, fascia, everything.
The saying, keep Austin weird, so I guess that fits.
Yeah, it fits perfectly. Yeah, and those people are definitely out there. Yeah, Texas is like its own little, like someone picked you up in a claw machine, just dropped you. So
Yeah, absolutely.
But I got to experience that market, and it's weird because I worked with a girl that worked with a company from Pflugerville, and she'd been doing this for like 4 or 5 years. And I always tell this story. I went to this house with her, and it was just pelted, man. It's covered in spatter. Everything's got it on there. And she's like, yeah, I don't know, like we're on the cusp of this. And I'm like, the hell are you talking about? She's like, well, this is an older storm. And I'm like, well, how long ago? She's like 6 months ago. I said, older? The fuck? I'm like, I worked storms out here for almost 2 years. Insurance companies. So I get on this roof and I'm chalking it out, and I got 10 hits easy on this left slope, and I'm over here on the other side. I got 12 hits over there. And she's like, yeah, generally I like to get 20 to 25 before we submit it. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about?
Jeez.
But that's how frequent the storms are, and how I didn't know that the deductibles work the way they did out there.
Yeah.
So like you go to sign somebody, and all of a sudden they got a $10,000 deductible. Like, no, you're reading that wrong. You're probably looking at code coverage. Go on there, and it's like, no, it's a $10,000 deductible. And it makes sense. You're putting a roof on, and then a month later it gets pelted with hail, and real hail out there, and then it just does damage to it. But like, it's a whole new market out there. So if you were successful at that level, then obviously you guys are looking to go somewhere nicer. So what's the game plan with Chicago? Like, how does this play into this whole thing?
Ted, you want to?
You want me to dive in there? Yeah, no. So kind of like you said, Dallas is very competitive, and with that comes, there's no licensing in Texas. Your barber has to be licensed. We tell people this all the time, but your roofer doesn't. And because of that, you got 7,000 companies. Through Tyler and his brother-in-law, they've got a great network up here. It's been probably in talks for over a year, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, Blake and I had been talking about this when I was at other companies. And I mean, he's been a real estate broker in the Chicago area for, 15 plus years. And so, he's from the area too, grew up here, had family that owned businesses here. So like, have built up a good reputation here, and a good network.
Yeah.
And so we've always talked about it. And I would say probably for the last like 4 years, we've talked about it.
And then as going about it, Blake's kind of stirring up things, and it's always good when you have other people pushing your narrative, right? So hey, I've got 3 people that need a roof inspection. All right, so let's go look at them. And, literally yesterday we just got off probably a 80 square wood shake. And then as we're doing that, another lead comes in, and then another person also needs help. The next thing you know, we're probably about 7 leads that Blake's generated all by himself.
Without knocking a door.
Without knocking the door.
Outreaching.
So the writing's kind of been on the wall of like, hey, I think we can get some things really going up here. We work with another property management company down in Dallas that owns a ton of properties up here, So it's just kind of, it makes a lot of sense if we think we've been successful down here, and, the relationships that Blake has, I think we can stir up some pretty crazy stuff here, kind of like we do in Texas.
That's awesome. So you guys have a spot like picked out. Is this like, are you guys going into an empty building? We're going to run a new office. You guys going to set up shop there, or are you merging with somebody? Are you acquiring somebody? Like, how does this work?
So that's in the talks right now. We're a part of a platform right now.
Okay.
And so, Mike is very familiar with it.
Do
Mike,
you want to talk about the platform more? Because I think you're one of like the original guys.
yeah.
A lot of our listeners have no idea what a platform is.
Yeah.
I'm going to explain it. Yeah, we'll go in full detail, but I'll let you guys go.
I don't know how much we can technically give because the legal paperwork.
Well, we can absolutely, elaborate. Yeah.
If people aren't familiar, there's a lot going on behind the scenes. If you've ever heard of private equity, now private equity is buying up roofing companies, and there's a great analogy for it. If anybody knows Grant Cardone, I don't know if you've seen his ads for especially the HVAC industry of private equity buying HVAC companies, building them up and reselling them to bigger buyers. The same thing's kind of happening in roofing. For baseball terms, I'm a baseball guy. I think this is a great analogy, but where that's at in the process as far as like new entry, people being bought out and sold is HVAC's what we call kind of in the 8th inning. And roofing now is in the 3rd inning. And, per all our conversations, we think in the next 5 years, it's really going to have a foothold change, and some people are starting to notice it. I guess, for example, what I mean is it's going to probably get to a point where homeowners, part of their policy is you have to work in network with a specific contract.
Kind of like health insurance.
Yep.
Right?
I don't like
if
going
you're
to
not
the
a part of their network, then they can't use you.
And we some of our partner companies are running into that. Literally, a sales guy had a great conversation, door knocked to door. We all know how hard it is to door knock sometimes. He's got a contingency filed, and then the homeowner comes back and says, hey, I can't use you. Apparently, per my policy, I have to use these specific contractors. And with the storm, this year's been crazy with storms across the states. It's only going to be getting worse. And, private equity is jumping in now. So especially with, not to get super political, but with the election that just happened, I think the next 4 years is going to be very, very dramatic for what we all do.
Oh, it's going to expedite it.
Absolutely.
It's going to be a paradigm shift.
And I want to touch on what you said about with the carriers and how it's going to be almost like the medical side, the HMO, PPO. Yep. We were at an event in Minnesota, and we worked with a few guys, Ty Adams, Tony Flatham, and they have a mastermind group called One More Door, and I did an event with them, and they had Mike Goldenstein from Roofle there, and he used to work at GAF, and he was in a lot of those rooms where private equity was talking with GAF just about how to maneuver and take over the industry, and that was one of the things that they were talking about is this is going to happen whether we like it or not, because it's already happening in the medical industry. And I know a lot of people, I'm sure our listeners don't even know this or know this at all. In the policy, the insurance has the right to do the repair.
Mm-hmm.
And they can decide, hey, we'll do the repair. Now, typically they don't do that because they don't want the liability that comes along with that. And that's what's kind of dropped the ball on like the Mad Skies, because they weren't very reputable roofers, let's say, and they would have to take on the liability of these roofers going out there and doing poor work. But if they know that someone like a private equity, let's say like a Merrill Lynch or,
Sure.
BlackRock come in and buy up all these roofing companies and they control it all. Right. Now they work with the insurance companies and they know, hey, we can put on this roof and we okay with taking the liability for that.
Yep.
So it's coming. Like I said, this guy has the inside track on a lot of this information.
And we keep saying roofing too. We mean storm restoration because it's an untapped market.
Right.
For publicly traded companies, at least it's a $300 billion a year industry. Yep. That's a year. So I know that people want to get in here. They're licking their chops just as fast as they did with the housing market. So as people know, like the listeners that don't do roofing or storm restoration. So basically similar to what's going on with the housing market. Most of these rental properties and stuff are being bought out by banks, by private equities, and then turn around, raise the rent or sell them and stuff like that to turn the profits because they have the capital to move it around even in a shit market.
Absolutely.
So the same thing's happening in roofing now. There's so many of these companies that have come up and they're like, well, hold on a second, dude. There's $300 billion being exchanged over there. We don't have our hands in that cookie jar. How do we get into it?
Right.
So now I've seen it too myself in the last 3 years. I mean, we've been pursued by multiple. I've been pursued by multiple. I know a couple of them that are out there right now doing things. I don't want to mention their names either, but it's crazy in the roofing industry right now. And I know people who have sold already into them. Like they're just they come there and they offer these multipliers and they do their thing. And people want to get involved in that. Just unfortunately for them right now, the success stories aren't just, they're not there yet. We got to wait and see it. But that's what I feel like that's the only thing the industry is really waiting on right now, is like one of them to pop at a high success rate that was like a lower company that rolled into it early on.
Yep.
And then once that story starts coming out there and they get well known, man, it's going to go crazy.
Yeah. And to I guess tie that point to your original question kind of about the platform,
Or like what the platform is.
a lot of companies, like you said, are starting to get approached now and saying, hey, we want to buy your company and basically flip it like a broker, help build it up and resell it. Usually the owner gets a small payout up front, and then
Could be a 3x multiple,
Right.
if it's a company by itself.
and they're incentivized to stay, help grow it, and then resell it, right? Where ours will probably be a little bit different is we are having the end goal in mind. A lot of these people are getting approached and then starting to be in a position to where they're able to sell, right? Maybe they're not as on point with their SOPs, standards of operating procedures, for people who don't know. Financials, that's a big one. And there's a lot of roofers that are just they're keeping track of their money, but they really don't know. For instance, everybody on our platform is right from the get-go. You have to get accrual accounting, so everybody's vetted right away, but that's
The
an
forensic
asset.
accounting.
Right, forensic. But that's an asset one, but to sell your company, you have to have that. There's no way you can sell your company without forensic accounting.
That end buyer wants to see those kind of finances.
And essentially, we're all coming together. We have a saying that I think applies well to it. You can go fast alone or you can go far together. And the idea of the platform is to get a conglomerate of good people that do the right thing, to work together, to build together, and to go far together to sell to an end buyer where everybody wins and we're taking care of people as a whole.
Yeah, and funny story, because Elijah and I were involved with this in the beginning. Like in that first inning, you'd say on the baseball side. So I had sold my company into what was going to be an IPO roll-up, and they're still working on their IPO. But, I mean, that was in the very beginning. So we've seen a lot of this already happening with private equity. I had a buddy in the HVAC sector, sold his company, got like $22 million up front, and then, the 5-year rollover, and then he didn't make his targets and everything.
Exactly.
And we see a lot of that in the roofing side too. And I think that's what Elijah was alluding to, that these companies have gotten their first payout and then they keep going, and they don't ever get to that final payout. And part of the issue is that this private equity, they know how to manage money. They don't know how to manage roofing.
Yeah.
And they need to partner with the roofing companies as opposed to just trying to take them over.
They need guys like us that know how to run a roofing company. Again, they have the capital and they have the money and the funds, but they don't know how to do what we do.
Right.
And so that's where the two are meeting now.
Absolutely. Right? And to your point too, once you get to a certain size in business, it gets a lot harder to scale, right? I've heard, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but the $7 to $10 million range in roofing is like that sweet spot. You don't have a crazy amount out, but you got money in. It's easy to keep scaling, but it seems like once you're pushing above 20 to 30, it gets a lot harder to get bigger. And then when a private equity company is buying these companies in that space, scaling to that next step can be pretty difficult for people.
Yeah, you get to that number too. I mean, you have to assume at that number and at that point, like your EBITDA, you're sacrificing some EBITDA at that point, right? Versus the $7 to $10 million company may have an outstanding EBITDA, compared to the $30-40 million company, right?
It's funny you're saying that, because that's basically where we're at right now. So we aimed for 20 million was our stretch goal.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to fall somewhere between 14, 15 million, 13 million, somewhere in that $2 million range there. But our actual bottom dollar is far larger than we thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Even if we would have sold more, we're making more money profitability wise, like at the mark where we're at now, as opposed to being $20 million. We actually did financially, we actually did better not selling $20 million. So I could see where that would play a factor.
The end buyer loves that.
Yeah.
The end buyer loves that.
Usually though, the end buyer, might not know how to get from that 20 to that 30. And that's where having a knowledgeable owner can really help the private equity side of things. And that's why they tie them in together, right? You don't get all your money up front. Typically, there are cases where they do. Give them a check, get out.
Usually there's, a few transactions.
But for the majority, as I'm sure you know, Mike, they keep the owners in the business to help scale it, so that way they're not just losing their investment just right up there like that.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, they keep you in, but they don't let you
Yeah.
Right.
do what you did before. Like you lose a lot of autonomy because, I mean, let's just be honest, with money comes power, and that power mindset, they want to be in control. And that's where part of the problems came in with the roll up that we were a part of too.
Sure.
That you had your C-suite who wanted to control everything, and then you had all your roofers, and yeah, maybe we were disjointed. There was probably a lot of things that we need to work on as well. I mean, we weren't perfect in any way, but they still didn't take our advice as like they should have.
Right.
I feel like it's not power either. So more money becomes more politics than it is power. Yeah, because then as soon as you start hitting those real numbers, and then everybody wants to dive into books and stuff like that, which is makes sense. I would want to dive into a book if I was acquiring a company as well. But when you do dive into the books, that's when I feel like that's when politics are like the strongest, because it's like, well, hold on, well, okay, we're paying this guy a ridiculous amount of money, or this guy hit this, like this is a ridiculous amount of money too, and then like, how much could we save here? How much could we implement here? And then I, like he said, I feel that some of the people that are running these my platforms are, or if when they acquire these roofing companies, they don't know what they're doing. They have no idea why a sales reps get paid what they get paid when people in the office do potentially harder work mentally wise than the sales reps do. But you guys have door knocked. You guys, we know why we pay them top dollar.
Right.
So we have nothing to work on without them. So
Well, yeah, and there's way to, alter and fine tune the pay scale that to where, your guys are not, taking a hit financially, right? And what they're doing and their results. But it's more appeasing to these end buyers, right? As far as pay structure and pay scale, right? Like your typical, I mean, most roofing companies are doing just a profit split, right?
Yeah.
And
1099.
yeah,
I mean, that's
1099. So, they look for structure and predictability. That's always what the end buyer's looking for in their investment. And so that's what we've actually done recently is we've changed our pay structure. And, at first when I heard about it and, before I knew what I know now about it and understood it, I was like, no, I'm definitely not doing that. But I really dug in, and we really dug in, and it makes a lot of sense because, the better a project is, the more the guy gets paid, and it's more incentivizing, to your guys.
And we can thank the platform for that, because that's the beauty of it, is it's also kind of like a mastermind, right? So
That's how we met Mike.
Right. It is how we met Mike, and everybody's good at different things, right? And we are on the newer side, but we get to adopt those things and get to benefit from it. And then at the same time, we can help out in the spaces that we have more knowledge on. Maybe that's just navigating a commercial deal. I guess Tyler's kind of saying, I started out doing commercial sales with no roofing background, going business to business, where most guys, which I learned, start out on the residential side. They tell you it's your bread and butter, and then the commercial's the long haul. I did the complete opposite of it. Knocking down my mic over here. But the beautiful part of the platform is we're able to share best practices, knowledge, resources to help each one of us scale. Maybe you got a company that's great at recruiting, and then you got a company that has really great sales ability, but they can't recruit. And then same the other way around. You're able to trade knowledge, and you end up boosting both your bottom lines and top lines, but keeping your overhead lower. And I think that's really the idea of the platform that we are a part of.
Yeah.
Is to help everybody scale, to share knowledge, but also not drive up your overhead when you're hitting those bigger numbers. And then if there is something where you do need help on, you can lean to another owner to help you out versus, there's a good saying, if you're going to complain, bitch up, not bitch down.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the sales guys don't understand what's accounts receivable. Where's my money at? And then as an owner, you don't want to go to your guy and like, man, I got millions out. What do we do? Versus you can talk to another owner that understands those pains and, get further quicker that way, I think.
Yeah. So then for those listening to that aren't following along, the concept is to get into this platform, acquire the companies that qualify to be in the platform, and then have them do what their end game is anyways, to sell. And then when they do sell, although everybody's splitting it together, they're still going to make more than if they would have done it on their own.
100%.
Absolutely.
100%. And like you just said, right, the scalability, it's going to help you scale. You could scale the same way with less people when you're on the platform. And then obviously you're going to make a lot more when you selling with the platform than you would by yourself.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we've already benefited from the relationship with Dustin from Three Kings. Shout out to Dustin.
Yeah.
So just talking to him, he's like, hey, you know, I got this call center. You want some leads? I'll give you like 10 or 15 of them for free and see how they roll. I mean, we're closing over 50% of them.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I mean, it's like,
That's what
these leads are amazing. Like, you know, we'd always talk about buying leads, and typically, you know, if you close 1 out of 3, you're happy.
Yep.
I mean, we're closing. No, we haven't had the insurance come out yet, anything, but they're getting signs and they're finding damage on almost 60% of the deals that the appointments we're going to. And if the customer no-shows us, it gets kicked back and call center just eats it. Like, so it's a guaranteed appointment.
Not only that, but these people know what we're there for. I bought leads before where I gotta sell once I get into the door, but right here now they're like, oh yeah, we don't understand the insurance. You guys got to look at the roof, right? Okay, yeah, go ahead and hop up there. Like, that's what we're walking into. Like, so that's quality leads, and I'm sure that we'll probably purchase more of those for the next storm. We're in the process of fine tuning our comp plan as well with our guys. So like we're doing a whole rehaul, and getting it all in order right now, writing the SOPs, getting the contracts ready, finalizing that between the owners here, and then we should roll that out probably about a week before the new year starts, and then let the guys review it and come back, sign on, and implementing new trainings and stuff. So we got like a lot of fun stuff for next year, so we're excited about it.
Nice.
Oh, that's very exciting. And then I guess to the whole back to the profit split and stuff, you know, essentially like the way we run now, right, our model of paying guys, if you break down the numbers, like he was saying, you'll actually make more if the job's more profitable. But I think the biggest thing about it is it switches the mindset.
It creates a better team environment.
Right. Instead of now the guy worrying about getting a certain share of the profit, he's worried about getting jobs built, and he has support where he needs. Maybe you have a guy that's great at sales, but has no business getting on a roof.
And has no business project managing, scheduling trades, coordinating all
And
of
before you'd get 2 guys that are like, hey, how about we just split it? And then one guy's doing 90% of the work.
And then when it comes time to get paid,
it's like, he didn't do anything, right? And in the structure we have now that we've got to adopt, if you need help getting on a roof, there's a certain percentage allocated to that guy for that. And then the guy that's good at selling, he can go sell more jobs versus spending time trying to get on roofs when he hates it and he's complaining about it to his significant other or to his teammates or whatever. So yeah, all in all, the platform's been incredibly beneficial to us.
Yeah, and you were talking about Dustin. You know, we're actually, I don't know if he has told you, but we're actually probably going to be officing together. So we're getting ready to get into a large office, and we're going to be splitting that office. And
he got a pretty big operation already.
Yeah. He's in like, I don't know, 7 different states.
Been
16 How great is that going to be though, in the same building?
Yeah.
Shit.
I mean, and ideally, you know, you walk in and you see our partner brands logo. Reputable is the name of it. And you'll see Reputable up there, and then you'll see CCG and Three Kings, and we're going to access each other's resources. And, you know, at the end of the day, I think everyone can talk about great ideas, but what we're really doing before we even launch is we're already creating a proof of concept, stuff that's already working, like what you just said, right? Like those leads that came in, that's a piece of proof of concept. And then, you know, there's been multiple things that, you know, Dustin and I have done together. Seth Adams at Adams Roofing, shout out Seth, you know, he's utilized the platform. And what did you say? He cut out like $300K in salaries. He saved like $300K in salaries because of it. And so, I mean, those are huge things, and that's a proof of concept right there. So we're super excited about all of it.
Yeah, it's awesome, and I can't wait to see. What happens. You guys have like, is there an end goal? I mean, I know you guys can't go down too many details like that, but like, is there an end goal? Like, what are we looking at here? 3 years, 2 years?
So you know, you obviously, you know, want to have the rolling 24. Right. But I mean, it could happen within 2 years, right? Or we may say, hey, you know, we want to hold off another year. So we don't exactly know yet. But I'd say at least 2 years.
Yeah. I'll get the little teasers. The goals right now are to see what the growth will be in those first 2 years of people where they started coming in and where they're at then, and just to show proof of how the platform itself has helped each individual company grow quicker.
Nice. And you guys are picking a good time to come over here because I don't know if you guys are familiar with the weather patterns. Do you guys follow the weather, how it works and everything like that?
Yeah.
So Tornado Alley just shifted over. I was telling these guys, I was pumped about it like a year and a half ago. It shifted over. So like Illinois, Indiana, and them, we're right in the heart of it now.
Okay.
We were outside of it. Yeah. So we got our first taste of it this last year. And no joke, I think Illinois had like 29 tornadoes. And then Indiana had 4 of them. And then we got 3.5-inch hail here in a town where we work in frequently anyway, but 3.5. That's the largest. I've been in this since 2017. It's the largest I've ever seen.
Okay.
I traveled for 3-inch down to Indianapolis last year, or 2 years ago, a little place called Cloverdale. But 3.5-inch, and then it was like 90-mile-an-hour winds on the same day. So leaving craters in the ground. I know you guys are familiar with that stuff.
No.
We never had that here. So if last year, or this year, I should say, is any indication of what's going to happen in the future now with the shift of the weather, man, we're in for it now.
Yeah, absolutely.
The companies should be really ready for us.
Right. And then all the hurricanes that have happened this year, I guess one thing through the platform, Florida got hit with obviously a big hurricane.
Yeah.
We're not like
2 of them. One was huge though, but yeah.
And I think another one's coming apparently.
There's another hurricane. I mean, 2.
We're supposed to be brewing up. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, like what he was saying, like we're not licensed in Florida.
It's tough.
Yeah, we're not licensed in Florida, but this property management company, you know, they had a bunch of work orders and stuff that they needed to fulfill, and they trust us, and they have a relationship with Blake, and you know, Dustin's licensed in Florida. So
Dustin. Okay, I was gonna say, if you need it, I got a guy.
Yeah,
in there.
yeah,
He did something with his license, and he's not doing roofing anymore.
okay, yeah, Three Kings is licensed in Florida, so he's got an office out by Tampa, and they're already running jobs. I mean, they had like 20 work orders already.
And we were just in Orlando like 3 weeks ago for RoofCon, and when we were flying in there, it was like just patches of blue everywhere, man. Everybody has tarps as we were landing in. It was amazing. Like looking out the window, I'm like, my God, like that's all you see is blue tarps out there.
Right.
Shout out to that tarp guy, man. Whoever was tarping, but they were making bread.
Doing million tarp.
Well, I knew a dude that did tarping in New Orleans. He's an IA now. That works out there, but he did tarping exclusively in New Orleans when I forget which hurricane was that, the big one
In New Orleans?
Katrina.
Katrina.
But he was just laying down tarps and getting paid for it. They were paying $1,500 a tarp for a steep, and then $500 for just your basic walkables.
Right.
Like flat rates, didn't matter how big the tarps were or how many. Those were rates per tarp you laid down.
Like 20, 30 a day.
Dude, he said he did over $150,000 in revenue there.
Yeah.
And he was there for like 3 or 4 weeks. Like just
Crazy.
Just dropping them down. He's like, I was tarping all day long.
Yep.
And he's probably getting cash, and he's just getting it
Oh,
as soon as he.
Yeah, as soon as he's done and collects.
That's where the good money's at on those hurricanes, getting in the tarps and getting out.
Oh, yeah. No.
Shrink wrapping's also.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you're not responsible for anything, but we can blame you for any problems going on. Yeah.
And you get paid right away.
Yep.
You don't have to wait for the carriers to pay, because that's where it becomes tough, because you got to wait for the carrier, and of course they're going to delay. But then by the time they've delayed so long, that homeowner may need that money for something else. Like, I don't care about my roof anymore, and the money, and then you put all this time and effort into it, and you get nothing out of it.
And it's dirty during that too, because like a lot of the damage that's being done on those homes with a hurricane is from water damage. It's not from wind and hail and stuff. So like when they're putting these claims in, that's the first thing these carriers are doing is like, well, you got flood coverage? Because if you don't, you know, that's
doing a build back on a flood claim, it's a different animal than just doing the exterior of somebody's home.
Yeah,
and then you dive into commercial. Like I did a like one of our clients is the founder of Fogo de Chao, the steakhouse,
Right.
and we did one of their steakhouses in it's called Corinthus 348 Argentinian Steakhouse, and that was a flood claim. And like they wanted to operate business still while we were ripping the whole restaurant out and rebuilding it back. And so we literally managed to get our crews to work night shifts, and we worked at night so they could still operate business and not lose money during the day. And let me tell you, I was basically their wine cellar. I'd go there at night and I'd go take a little nap in the wine cellar, and then take a 2 hour
in there. That's a under 2 hour
nap. And
Is that after drinking the wine, or
yeah, no wine while I was there, unfortunately. But I still had to take care of business during the day too, right? Like my day, it's not like my daytime stuff stopped, right? So it was just like, yeah, it was crazy. But those flood claims are so much different. Like, they're so much more invasive. I mean, any little tiny thing, like, and especially somebody who who owns a home, I mean, they notice any little tiny thing in their home, right? And so, all the red tape, it's like there's usually a lot of it, right? Because if one little line is off on the paint, they're like, oh, can you fix that? And so they can just be a huge headache. So you got to kind of pick your battles whenever you go attack those kind of projects.
Yeah, luckily we don't have to worry about that. No hurricanes affecting any houses out here.
Yeah, thankfully, right?
That's tough. So when do you guys officially make the move to Chicago? I know you guys are down here right now, but when is are you guys going to be living in the city as well? Or?
No, so Blake actually, he lives in Illinois. And so he's in Lake in the Hills, if you know where Lake in the Hills is. Yeah.
Yep.
And so he's a part of he lives in like a country club community. We're actually talking about re-roofing the country club. It's all, what is it? Certainty Belmont? Yeah, Certainty Belmont.
Copper gutters,
copper
dormers, valleys.
But to answer your question, we don't have a set date that we're going to get in office. That's obviously, we're kind of partnering up together a little bit and kind of, using the platform to help each other out.
Strategic.
We're trying to be strategic about it. So we don't have a set date that we're going to get in office. Now, obviously, with scale is going to determine when we get in office. So, we start tacking on a bunch of sales guys, like we're going to need that office space. But right now we haven't even started recruiting and building a sales team yet. Just because we're simply just trying to build out the infrastructure first. We want to start off profitable as a company out here. And with that, we want to do that. And then with scale, get the office.
So you'll hire sales reps that are local, but then manage them from a distance?
Well, Blake will manage them.
Okay.
Yeah. So Blake's local.
Okay.
Yeah. So Blake will kind of spearhead, and me and Mike have also talked about stuff as well. And so, yeah, we're going to kind of team up, and yeah, we can definitely manage them from Texas, right? We'll be obviously making a lot more trips up here. We've already anticipated that.
But Blake's going to be a very integral part.
Yeah.
As spearheading, running things. And I mean, there's already 6 or 7 deals that are in the works now that, he's generated. So one thing that I'm proud of that we can say, and honestly, thanks to Tyler, is we were profitable day one. Thank God we're blessed to be in a position to where we don't have debt, and we were able to start when we started business. We had work coming in to really get work going. So I guess maybe we were in debt for 2 weeks, but that idea of the jobs that will be produced already up here will help fund and get things going versus having to, I guess, put it all on the line. And then with the relationships we have, leveraging the platform, leveraging each other, we'll get further quicker and ahead and go farther. I'm excited.
And like you said, this time of the year, I think it's good timing as well. I'm big on building out an infrastructure before you just get balls to the wall, super busy, because then you're all over the place. You're scatterbrained. Your SOPs are all out of whack. You're just essentially just trying to figure it out, right, as you go. And we don't want to do that. And so that's what we're doing right now, is creating systems and processes. And those systems and processes in Texas are going to be the same here, maybe some minor tweaks because it's a different market. But we want to, build that out before, a huge storm hits and, we're building a bunch of jobs every month and have a whole sales team. Our infrastructure is what we're focused on right now. Obviously, revenue is there's pipeline deals that are in the pipeline right now. And so, yeah, hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, 100%. And it's good to have the downtime right now too. So in our industry, there's no time when we shut down. People think that, because it's construction, they assume that once the weather breaks, that's it for us, but no, hell no. In fact, I would say we take on double the amount of work over the off season to get ready for the next season. But technically in this market, for Illinois, Indiana, it's kind of March 15th to December 1st. That's basically where our prime is. Yeah. And then after that, it nosedives until March 15th again. Okay. So yeah, it's good times to get everything going together. So we got to wrap up here soon, but I did have a question. So what positions did you guys play in baseball?
Take a guess. I want to hear some guesses.
You guys already told me your story.
Okay. Yeah.
Second base, left field.
I was an outfielder. I guess in college I was a right fielder. In pro ball I was a center fielder. But pretty much all positions I could arguably be a utility player. High school I played second and pitched a little bit, but my arm couldn't take it, and I didn't want to go down that route too long, so I was an outfielder.
Nice.
Yeah. I was a pitcher and I played center field.
Oh, okay, nice.
Yeah.
Your primary pitcher?
Yeah, so I was a starting pitcher, but like in college, I was a true two-way guy. So I literally would, like, one game I'd start pitching, and let's say the next week I'd go start in center field, as long as like my arm had time to recover and go through my recovery process after I pitch it.
10 ABs. What's he hitting against you?
Come on.
10 ABs. He's a good hitter. Really good hitter.
Curveball too. Where'd that come from?
Yeah, when we were like 10 years old, he did teach me how to throw a curveball. That's what got me recruited. 10 ABs. I'm gonna have to go with a 50-50.
Wow.
Oh, he's trying to get 500 to get
100? Any nukes?
Gotta be at least one.
No nukes. No, dude. No. He won't, like, come on. He won't. He was a 4-hole hitter. He's good at sticking that bat out there, but he's not hitting nukes off.
I'll go. He says 50-50. I'm going at least two or 3 for 10 with one pump.
Yeah, I would say 3
Yeah.
or 4, maybe 3 or 4. But
There's nothing
even though I haven't seen you guys play.
Are you a lefty or a righty?
I'm a righty, but
Are you righty too?
Throwing?
Yeah. No, batting.
I like to think I'm a switch hitter, but I'm a
as a righty. Okay, don't fool you. Don't let him fool you. No, he if I throw he can hit fastballs really well. So,
and then you were on the Detroit Tigers as well in their farm system.
Yep.
How far did you get?
To low A ball. I retired. You look it up. It says voluntary retired after 2 years, but played in Grand Rapids a couple games, which is pretty cool. That's a really cool stadium. But yeah, did that for a bit. You realize what kind of grind it really is. I thought college was, they tell you learn if you love baseball in college. Pro ball is a different animal. 144 games. I mean, there's a stretch I played like 39, 41 days in a row. No off days, Sunday to Sunday. Bus rides, 10 hours. And, I like to think I'm a decently large human. I'm 6 foot, 215 when I was playing. And then I got guys next to me who are 6'5", 270, and there's 50 of them.
Yeah, I know a few guys that played in the Reds farm system. One at the place I worked at before, but then a guy I went to high school and college with, he got to, I don't know if he got to the high A, but he was like right on the outside of their top 10 prospects at one point, and it was all based on talent and everything. Like he wasn't the best, like, at any position, but athletically, he could throw the ball really hard. Like, he could jump really high. He's like 6'4", 210, 215, whatever. So he was highly regarded. But a lot of people would say, oh, you didn't make it to the pros. He made it to the farm system. How many people can say that? So, like, I'm sure you probably have people say, oh, you didn't make it all the way. That's I don't care what anyone says. That's a major accomplishment, making it to the major league.
The hard farm system. Getting
drafted. Just getting drafted.
Like, yeah. Yep. The hardest sport in the world is it's got the 3 minor leagues to even get into the majors. Then once you get to the majors, 3 out of 10 get you to the Hall of Fame. That's how hard that the level is. Like if you could hit 3 times out of every 10, you can make the Hall of Fame that way. Most people build their careers between 2 and 3.
Yep.
Lucky to tee off on 2, and then you see those like I've only witnessed it once in my entire life, never in a batter's box, but 90-mile-an-hour pitches. That's fucking insane.
Oh, yeah.
And then to be able to lock onto it, adjust your hands, make contact, drive it through. Yeah, put it where you want to put it, all within like tenths of seconds.
Yeah,
is absolutely incredible.
Poetry in motion.
Yeah, baseball is a game of failure, and so to anyone that's watching that does door knocking in baseball terms, right? If you ever played baseball and you're out knocking doors, selling roofs, solar, whatever it is, and you get discouraged, I like to always tell people, in baseball, you may have 4 at-bats a game, and then that game's over, right? Like knocking doors, it's the same thing, right? It's all at-bats. It's a game of failure, right? But except in this part, you have unlimited at-bats. There's unlimited houses you can go knock. So, it's a game of failure, and so you got to treat it like at bats, and you just keep going. And
it's equivalent too, because like you said, in baseball you get 4 at bats, you might get a hit, and that's great. 1 for 4, you handle your business. But then you get out in the door knocking, it's the same thing, but a lot larger numbers. You're getting 1 out of 50 if you're a great door knocker. You're getting 1 out of 50 if you're a great door knocker.
Right.
1 out of 100 if you're the average door knocker. But if we tell our reps all the time, you failed because you chose to fail. If you're out hitting 100 to 150 doors, I don't care who you are, 150 doors a day, you're getting signs. The end of that week, you're walking out 3 to 5 signs. It's guaranteed to happen.
Right.
You're going to keep talking. You're going to learn along the way what the hell you're saying that's fucking you up. And then by the time you get to that 100th door, you're spitting fire.
Yeah.
And then, it's momentum ridden.
It was a game. It's a game of momentum.
Well, I always tell our guys, like, conversations too. Like, how many good conversations did you have today at the doors? And like, try to keep those conversations going. Like, sometimes starting out, you're not going to know exactly what to say. You don't know everything. And so you're just learning. Build a relationship. Roofing aside, talk to them and build a relationship, right? And so, you just can't get too discouraged. You got to keep them going, and you got to get your knocks in.
I mean, you never know who's going to call you back. I've had times where I've told reps too, don't be pushy with people. If they're not interested in it, you just remain professional, because that's something they haven't seen at the door.
Yeah.
I know you've been knocked by a bunch of people, and here's the thing. I'm getting a lot of reports out here that people aren't being handled the right way.
Yep.
I'm not saying that that's you. I'm not saying the contractor you chose is a bad one. What I am saying is I'm going to leave you my card, and if anything should happen, or you get confused on something, or communication drops somewhere, give me a call. I'm willing to help you, even if you're not my customer. I just want to make sure you guys are taken care of. I'm already working with so many in the neighborhood. You're going to see me from time to time anyway. Just keep me in mind. And when you're just leaving the card, like, they have no idea how impactful that is, because 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, when their contractor forgets to call them, drops the ball somewhere, you're getting a phone call. Like, they're going to call you.
And
like,
they may drop the ball. It's likely. It's likely. Have y'all used the QC check? So we have a
next to you.
Yeah, so we always knock the door and we just say, hey, sorry to bother you. We're doing a QC check. You don't say quality control. You just say QC because you want them to ask, what's that? Oh, quality control. So if there's been a job going on, they can say, hey, we did so-and-so's job down the street. Did you get any debris blowing your yard? Oh, you didn't? Okay, perfect. We got 2 more jobs coming up right next to you. I want you to have my information. If for some reason some little wrappers blow in your yard, I know you're completely capable of picking it up. But I'll send my guys over here if you call me to come pick that up, because you shouldn't have to do that. And all that is an icebreaker. They're like, oh, I really appreciate it. It makes them feel good, right? You're not there to sell, right? And then you transition into, where are you at in the process right now with your roof? They're more likely to talk to you because you have already brought them value before you even started talking about the roof.
The fence down.
Well, one of our guys last year was doing the gift cards to Starbucks, and we told him about it. He finally followed through with it, and he was getting signs off that. You just bring a $5 gift card, go get 4 of them, go knock all the neighbors around the build that you're doing in the morning. Let them know, hey, there's going to be some noise here, and I apologize for that. I wanted to let you know your coffee's on me today. Please go enjoy a cup of coffee. I apologize for the noise. I'm just helping your neighbor get their roof that I got bought through the insurance done.
Yeah.
Where are you guys at in the process? Like, have you guys been handled, and immediately they're more perceptive because you've given them something. They're like, they're excited, because who's not excited about coffee?
Right.
And then 2, they're just like, oh man, that was really nice of you that you didn't have to do that. And then they hear, oh, wait, what do you mean through the insurance? Then the conversation starts, and then you're just talking. That's all you're doing at that point.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the transition, getting that, like you said, getting that wall down. I mean, that's the biggest hurdle right there.
At the end of the day, you're truly providing something that somebody needs to. I think it's all mental, and I thank God for being able to play baseball for so long, because it just sets you up for life, but especially this business so well. You could get yelled at 10 doors in a row, and that 11th door could be the good one. But if you take those old door knocks to it, it could ruin that whole, that whole experience. And then you just never know what people are going through, what you're walking into. And, most of the time when you do a good job, and at the end of it all, people actually are really appreciative of what you did. Like, you hear people that sometimes start off very aggressive, and at the end of it, thank you for knocking on my door today. Oh, yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
And then, you get that momentum, you take it to the next door, and then next thing you know, you might have been 0 for 100, and now you're 3 for 10, and you've just made $20,000 as a sales guy.
Crazy. Yeah. That's all that matters. Yeah, we got to wrap it up, guys. Yeah. Man, I hope this is like one of many times you guys come on here. We'll definitely have to get you, once you guys get into the Chicagoland area, we'll definitely have to get you guys back.
Yeah.
See how things go, man.
Yeah. I mean, we're gonna be here very frequently.
Well,
So
good.
we'll look forward to it, man. We'll definitely be visiting a lot more
We
often.
appreciate you guys having us on.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
We don't want to get them doped by our producers over there, Sparkle. I mean, and we'll have to give away. Johnny's Lehman's is about to cut our heads off here.
We got to get Blake next time once he's a little broken in. We got to 100% rough him up, you guys. I want to haze him a little bit and shake him up a little bit. So
We think we're good. That's the real killer of all.
No, he's got a lot of value to bring, especially to just y'all's audience and stuff. I mean, just on the business side and stuff like that, like mentality wise, like I think that's essentially what we've talked a lot about is mentality. So he's got a lot there, too.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well,
thanks a lot.
see you guys next
Thank
time.
you, guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
See you guys.
Roof Trollz.
Yeah.